You know, indoor fields are
Yeah.
usually so much smaller than.
But the way we train in tight spaces,
Right.
we can train in a shoebox.
Did St. Louis put a bubble up?
No.
We're going to kick off, get started with head coach Bradley Carnell. We're going to have about 15 minutes with Bradley, and then Quinn Sullivan will come in, and we'll have a few minutes with him. So we're going to go right into questions. John?
How's the bill of health to start the year for them?
Yeah. Bill of health is good. I think we got Jan back just in time. It's good to have him back in training, and Bizo's back in training. So we're missing Nate Harriel and Isaiah LaFleur. Those are the two guys at the minute that are still having some return to play protocols going on, but they're trending in the right direction, and we expect them back pretty soon.
Is Isaiah still lingering out of the ACL injury?
Well, I think it's to be expected, right? So there's a lot of asymmetry always when you go through what he's endured over the last sort of span of a year, I would say, even more. And usually, you know, the way you're coming back, you're protecting something, and then something else breaks down. So, I think that was a totally expected setback. It's a minor setback, and it's got nothing to do with his ACL. So, yeah, we're expecting him back in a week or two.
So given that a lot of those guys are outside backs, it looked like Frankie Westfield was doing a lot of work with the first team this week, or today. What are your kind of options at an outside back?
Yeah, Bizo. Olivia and Bizo, Frankie Westfield. I mean, we have some really good options there, and we've been experimenting a little bit in preseason, and yeah, I mean, Frankie's been with us for a couple of weeks now, so it's good to get guys different reps and different looks in different groups. So yeah, we've been having a really good look at some players over the last 5 weeks. Yeah.
What do you make of the time that Frankie's gotten and the opportunity he's taking advantage of? Because he's gotten a lot of minutes.
Yeah, he's got a lot of minutes. Some of it, purely desperation, needing to fill that spot, and some of it's been deserved and earned. So, yeah, it's great to see players adapt and adopt principles, and yeah, get rewarded with some minutes, right? So. But again, Frankie's got ways to go, and we're bringing him through every single day with his development plan. And he had a great season last season, and yeah, he's excited to be part of our group. And yeah, listen, I mean, there's spots to be had. There's a good competition.
One more depth chart question: you have Oliver Semler and Andrew Brick. Do you who has the nod to be the backup behind Andre?
Yeah, that'll be seen on Saturday, who made that trip and who traveled, and there's some tough decisions for sure, but it's a good decision. It's a tough decision, but it's a good one to make, right? Competition is always good within our group, and we always say, we want to train harder than any opponent, and to be fair to the keepers, they've been amazing. They've been pushing each other every single day. It's some new principles, some new tactics, some new nuances to the game, that the demands are slightly higher in certain aspects. So again, we'll give that notice in due course, and you'll see the travel roster that goes out.
Great.
Coach, you've had significant time to now see Quinn Sullivan and the way he plays. I'm interested in your thoughts, one, on him as a playmaker, and him kind of leading the attack, or even starting a offensive charge.
Yeah, so, I mean, Quinny's got size, speed, he's got a really good shot on him, so he can play interior between lines, he can play on the outside as a winger, so he has a lot of qualities, to be fair, right? It just complements a lot of what we're trying to do. But yeah, I think it's part of the picture of a bigger puzzle, and the bigger puzzle is how it incorporates with the other 10 guys. So again, we try and make sure that we stick to our collective approach, and everyone's got a role to do and a function to play. So yeah, it's been fun watching these guys. It hasn't been significant in terms of 6 months. it's been a couple of weeks, but I think I'm incredibly proud of the group. For emptying the tank every single day, what they've done. It's been fun to watch. It's been fun to see, them challenge me challenge them, and it's been a great relationship over the last couple of weeks, and I'm excited to get going.
Coach, what's his role? Quinn's, Sullivan's role? in your system?
Like I said, he finds space between lines. He finds space out wide. He's in one of those 10 spots that we'll be using. Like I said, he brings a lot of different options for us. And if we can get him in and around the box, he can be a goal threat as well. Just with his shooting ability and getting in and around the box. So he's a clean provider as well. He can play the assist role very, very well. And he's got a ton of work rate, but I've seen a ton of work rate from the whole group right now, and like I said, there's been great competition, and I would say Kevin's breathing down his neck to try and take his job away. So it's been a fun exercise now to see how we've challenged the group, and excited, like I said, for the first game to get going here.
With Oliver Sumlin, I think the whole league saw his struggles last year at times with this team. Some of them, after a while, perhaps even mental as much as physical or tactical and whatnot. What have you seen from him in this offseason? Perhaps even what conversations have you had with him to sound out where he is?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about last year, and I haven't really been interested in a lot of stories about last year. And all I've been looking is from the 2nd of January, looking forwards. And I haven't experienced any issues, any problems. I think we've had a team who's pulled in the right direction. We've had a team who's, caring about their teammate. I think we've had a team who looks up to the senior players, if we're the youngsters looking in. And I've just seen a good camaraderie and a good what a teammate means in a professional environment. So, I've heard a lot, but I haven't seen a lot.
And at the other end of the field, Bruno Damiani signaled on Tuesday he might not quite be ready this weekend, next weekend. Is that a fair? More likely next week.
It's pending work visas, so he's in and around. He's part of the group, but he's pending a work visa.
If the visa matters were sorted fitness-wise, would he be ready to go and integrated this weekend?
He tested pretty good. His baselines were pretty good. Obviously, he has to get acclimated to the weather that we're having here. We're training on turf right now, which we don't want to put him in any danger. If when he gets going. We're just playing the waiting game right now, and we're not putting him. It's going to take some time before he gets going.
When you have this abundance of midfielders, and it seems like there's a little more flexibility where you can operate with some of these guys. Does that flexibility come with, do you go with a more defensive-minded midfield for road games, knowing how important points are on the road? How do you approach that?
we play to win games. I think we want to play with a certain energy, and we play to win, whether we're playing at home or away from home. So we're going to try and utilize every little advantage that the opponent gives us. Every sort of what we've been doing over the last 5 weeks to try and reward us for this. We've had good looks at the opponents in terms of who we've played. All played a very similar style to how Orlando operates. So it's been a good precursor for us over the last 5 weeks, and we feel pretty well versed about who we're going to face and how we're going to go about it.
It's probably a good time to go to Orlando in February. So the weather might not be the factor that it would be in July. What do you make of what you've seen from Orlando? Obviously, this is the first game of the season.
Yeah.
But how are you preparing for them, and where are the danger areas?
Yeah. So first, it's a good question. And first and foremost, we're focusing on us. Because we've had a ton of work to do, and just making sure that we're getting ready for what we're trying to instill and implement, right? So, and while we've had that, we've had some good looks against opponents, like I said, who play in a similar fashion. For sure, they've brought in some players. They've had some players on some injury now. Duncan McGuire, Cartagena, he's out injured. And that's a real pity because, we never like to see players getting injured to that extent. They have brought in a Twester. And Pasalic, these are really good players in their own right as well. So again, it's a competitive team, it's a robust team, it's a physical team. They have a mentality, especially at home. So we're going to have to match up to that and then some.
Bradley, just in terms of big picture, you've come into this job, and it seems like you've brought a lot of positivity to this role. I wonder how much of that is just what your natural inclination is in a job like this, or how much of it is what you've identified here in terms of the role that you're stepping into, the way last season ended, and what you feel like this group and this organization needs at this moment?
My glass is always half full. It's never empty. And that's just the way I approach life. It's the way I approach the next training session. It's the way I approach things in my home life, right? So I'm always excited to, it's a privilege to be doing this job. And this is every day we step out over those white lines. It's a joy, right? And this is the type of energy I'm trying to exude and trying to get the players to, there's two types of leading. There's leading by doing or leading by telling. I prefer leading by doing, and bringing that approach to everyday life. And it's been great because, if we get 20 staff members doing that, and then the players start to feed off of that, and then all of a sudden it's a real big buzz, and it's just like a snowball, and things getting bigger and bigger, and then we're creating momentum. So yeah, this is how I like to operate, but there's nothing forced. It's been so easy to work with this group, so willing, so energetic, brave to do things that maybe, some new nuances to the tactics or to the, our game model approach, and I've been extremely proud of the group so far.
You mentioned, I think it was last week or the week before, that Jacob kind of looks like the old Jacob.
Yeah.
Getting the cleanup procedure done in the off season.
Sure.
What have you seen from the entirety of the preseason from him, and how he is back to at least challenging that best 11 form that he had?
Yeah, I think we've helped him. I think we've helped him with the messaging. I think we've helped him with the visualization of his role and job description. And we've actually given him safety and security to do things that he feels comfortable doing. So, again, I'm excited to see it now on game day because, we've proven to be competitive against every opponent we've played. We've played some really tough opponents, and, I wouldn't just say Jacob, I would say the whole group's come through really well, right? And there's no reason for us to be doubting our own capability, no reason for us to be doubting what we can bring on game day, because we have proven it before.
We'll do last two with David and then Jonathan.
Coach, what has the mentality been for you going into this week, knowing it's your first game as the head coach of the Philadelphia Union, and also what's been the reaction going into this first game?
Yeah, for me, it's whether it was my first training week or whether it was preparing for Slavia Prague, I prepare the same. Just from my mindset and the way I try and lead the group, your next game is the most important game. And now we're 5 weeks in, and now the next game is the most important game, which happens to be match day 1, right? So, and that's the mindset going into it. And the preparation of the group, the willingness to learn. We do a lot of visual learning tools in the video room and stuff like that. So the players have been very receptive to that. They've embraced longer meetings, more meetings. And they've really been curious. And that's what I liked about this group. They're curious to learn, even although you've had some really experienced guys who've been around and done it all before, and been very successful at it. But, there's always an opportunity to learn. And that's what I'm trying to create here is an opportunity and a learning environment.
We'll wrap with John.
The league just announced while we were sitting here, although I'm sure you knew it was coming, that they've adopted the rule that only the captain can approach the referee now when there's a squabble about something on the field. They've been doing it in Europe for a few months now. I'm sure you've seen it. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, it's we asked that question in preseason when the referees came to us, and we said, well, if our captain's 85 yards away in goal, like how does that operate? So they will look for co-captains or vice captains, and I think they get a band, if I'm not mistaken, an armband. So again, all we want is consistency. And if it's consistently applied, whichever name is on the back of a shirt, then we'll be happy with that, right? So I mean, nobody wants to get around the ref. We want the game to carry on. We want the game to be held in a professional manner, and move on from there. So yeah, listen, we're the first ones who don't like the big confrontations and the mass confrontations, and we've seen enough over the last couple of seasons that for sure there's emotions, for sure there's things happening, but it doesn't have to be 5, 6, 8, 10 players having their word. It never really helps anyways. So if the co-captain or the captain's in the vicinity, just to try and get that calm word and try and get a message across, and maybe something that's valid, and point and give a point of information or reference, then so be it. But yeah, as long as it's consistent.
Thanks, Bradley.
Thank you.
We have Quinn.
What have you made of what Bradley's brought to the table? Seems like a lot of people are buying into it. And it seems, based off talking to a bunch of guys, everybody's re-energized for this season. What have you made of it?
Yeah, I think with any new coach, you get that new energy, and everyone has the idea that you have to fight for a spot and earn the respect of the coach, and everyone wants to be on the field when the first game comes around. So I think that's definitely part of it, but the ideas that Bradley's brought along also comes along with that energy and the need to buy in, or it won't work.
You guys have, in previous years, put a lot of miles on the legs, even at this part of the season with Champions League. Is it nice that with the new coach comes just a one-game week to start, no Champions League? I'd rather be playing in Champions League, but does it at least help the focus on the league for these first few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question because you want to be in every competition and you want the chance to be playing for all the trophies that are available. But yeah, I think there's definitely a benefit to having just one game to focus on in the league, and we know how important that each and every game is in MLS. But I guess we'll see on the weekend how useful it is to only have one game, and hopefully it proves to be good.
Thanks. Quinn, there's a sense, and Ernst has talked about it some, that the team got away from something ethos-wise last year, and obviously the defensive statistics we all saw. What's your sense of whether that was the case and whether they have gotten back to whatever that something is ethos-wise now?
I mean, I think one thing that you'll see a bit of a change in is definitely the intensity defensively. And that's something that Bradley and the new coaching staff has brought in that I think is something that when Ernst references that, I think that's one thing that we've worked on and something that you'll see come game time. But yeah, the pressing is super intense, and we want to be on the front foot and win the ball from the other team high up on the field where we're closer to the goal. And then the togetherness is also something that you're going to see where if one person's going, the rest of the team's going to go. And those pressing triggers are something that hopefully you guys see.
5th full year with the first team. Does it feel like that yet already?
Yeah, I mean, look, every year has been a different experience and a different challenge. And yeah, I think I've taken every year and built upon it. And I think, yeah, it definitely feels like it's my 5th year and hopefully my best one yet. But yeah, I've taken different lessons from each of those years. Last year being my best year, and hopefully building on that and making more of a difference this year.
Quinn, you've talked about this before, but just the competition within the team, some changes, some new players, obviously competition with your brother. What can you say just about some of these younger players coming in, obviously a couple players leaving, who you've played with for a long time, and just what the competition level has been in preseason?
Yeah, the competition level is super high. It's always super high, right? There's so much talent that we have. I think that's magnified because of the coaching staff change, and I love that. That's something that I love. I thrive off of, and I'd love to I love always having that sort of competition. We definitely had a lot of young guys in with us in preseason, and I think it's good to see the intensity that it takes and the quality you need to have to make a roster or make the starting lineup. But yeah, intensity level was high, competition level was high, and everyone had a fresh chance to prove themselves and to get in the lineup.
What have you made of Jovan in his first few weeks and the responsibilities of those defensive central midfield roles that Jose and Jack were in are a little different? What do you make of Jovan and Danley and the partnership they've started to form behind you guys?
Yeah, I think it's been really good. I think in Montreal game you guys didn't get to see it, but we got to see it work really well. I think Jovan and Danley are starting to get that connection. Jovan in such a short amount of time has come to understand the ideas that we want to have. Me and him have had private conversations just about tactics and stuff and what he's seeing after the Cincinnati game. We were on the bench together and he was just asking me questions. So he's curious. He wants to play forward. He has that mindset that he wants to play forward and win balls, and he's gritty. So all those things I think are something that you want to see and the fans want to see, and definitely is very Philly of him as well.
Cameras were everywhere last year, as we know they're going to be everywhere again this year. What's it like having that around you and being a guy who is now one of the relative veterans on this team to handle them?
Cameras in terms of what? Just the eyes on us?
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's the privilege we get to have, is to have eyes on us at all times. I'm used to it at this point. I think the team's used to it. So yeah, I think not much changes on that front. There's always going to be people watching, and the more that you want people watching, the more you win, the more people are watching you, and that's great for me personally with being seen. Everyone wants that.
Your brothers, beyond just Kevin, now Ronan and Declan, are in the pipeline too. How much do people ask you how good they are?
They ask some. I'm super happy, super proud of them. So I just want to say congratulations to them for making the move to the Philadelphia Union, and they're off to a flying start. Ronan scored, I think, in every start he's had, and Declan's been really good. So we got to watch both of them in one of the streams that they had, which was awesome. It was definitely different seeing them in navy blue. But Ronan had 4 goals with the U3 the other day. Declan had a goal and an assist in a 5-0 game in that same game. So they're off to a flying start, and it's great to see them finally get some Union recognition, and I hope they take advantage of that, which they have thus far.
Being a Philly area guy and obviously being a part of a family that's come to Philly soccer royalty, what would it mean for you to be a part of a roster that has some serious success here, whether that's winning Leagues Cup, winning MLS Cup? What does that feel? What would that feel like for you being from this area?
It'd be the most prideful experience I could ask for. Growing up, watching Philly sports, watching the Union, watching the Union when they weren't having success, and then being a part of a team that did have success. All those things I take very deeply and very pridefully. I think being a part of the team that has success was great, and then starting on a team that didn't have that much success sucked, made it suck even more. So hopefully turning that around and being a team that all the fans can be proud of and excited to watch on a weekly basis is something that all of us in the team, in the locker room, coaching staff, all the staff are always striving for. And we don't want to be a team where the fans don't want to come out and they're not rooting for us, and we want to win for them.
What is your message to the fan base about what should we expect for this upcoming season so that we don't want to repeat from last year?
Yeah, I think I've touched on it a little bit already, but there's definitely going to be changes. There's going to be a higher intensity and an idea to go forward and first pass forward and counter pressing, all those things that I think were a little bit off last year, and I don't think we were very far off. But you're going to see that, and you're going to see a team that's going to fight their asses off. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but you're going to fight super hard. Everyone wants to win at home. We know that a record at home was unacceptable last year, so we've had a lot of internal talks. We had a player meeting today, and we've had meetings with Bradley. So there's been a lot of internal talk about what the fans deserve and what we want to provide to them. So hopefully you see some changes in a team you're excited to watch.
But I think we just got one more on Zoom.
We have time for one more question. Jose Nunez on Zoom.
Congratulations with your deal over the offseason, your upgrade to a U22 deal. Would love to hear from you what that means as a player for the club to put that type of trust on you, and whether that comes with a heavier lift on your shoulders for this season, and how you plan on handling it.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus, and something I was excited about to re-sign and to sign an under-22 deal. Obviously, I don't think it comes with a ton of extra weight on my shoulders. I think I know the responsibility that I have, and that's to progress from last season. And I was gonna plan on doing that anyway, whether it was on my option year or on a new contract. So I'm definitely happy to have signed a new one. But in terms of pressure, I don't think it adds very much.
Thank you, Quinn.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you all.